This is Jigyasa Sethi, filmmaker, educator, founder Jam Arts, and I'm very happy and excited to bring you today's Get the Edge series with Shelja Saraswati Varghese.
Hi,
Hi Shelja, welcome to Get the Edge series.
thank you. Thank you. So good to see you again, Jigyasa.
Yes, same here. It's been a busy day today for you.
Yeah, just another day, lot of things to tackle, but yeah, was really looking forward to the evening.
That's great. Hi Tanya, Alia, Shifali, hi, thanks for coming in. So people are joining in from all over. I know Shifali, hi Mandeep. Okay, so I think we have an audience coming in, and I am so excited to have you here, Shelja. I want to introduce our esteemed guest for today. Shelja Saraswati has 18 years of senior leadership experience in digital media and television industry across India, Singapore, and London. Currently, she's head of content at Z5 Hippie short video platform. And in the past, she's worked in leadership roles in content field for Brand New Media Singapore, Wavemaker SEA, a Group MWPP company, National Geographic, Fox International Channels, Discovery Communication, UTV Entertainment. My God, what a list. In these stints, she has launched programming division with lifestyle and non-fiction TV, launched and managed content practices for media agencies in India and SEA markets, and organized content labs for key global brands. She was jury member for Lions Entertainment at the Cannes Lions in 2016. She led the content practice development for the industry as an advisory board member at Content Marketing Summit Asia 2017. Shelja is truly a woman who wears many hats, obviously, and we will learn more about what she's doing. She's someone I connected to so mystically. She's polite, prompt, gentle, strong. So, Shelja, it's truly an honor to have you here. And I want to congratulate you first on your debut song, Chand Ki Tarah, as a lyricist. So, that's another hat you're wearing. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Chand Ki Tareh is, I think, a culmination of all the 2 decades of creative journey. I think it was a culmination which basically started back in my childhood. So I'll start with a bit of my journey, how the creative bug started, where it started from. So I remember the
Sure.
first images which come to my mind of my childhood is seeing my parents in a radio station, and they are rehearsing, and I'm on the other side of the thick glass, that window, and I'm just watching them rehearse. And that's all I remember. So they are rehearsing, and they have script in their hand, and recording is happening. There's mic in front of them. There's a red bulb outside the door, and everybody's telling me not to go in. And me and my sister used to sit in a corner with our school bags doing our homework in the corner in the radio station. So I think that was an early induction into content. And next I remember is myself sitting in front of the mic, anchoring, acting as a child artist, and so were my siblings. So I think early induction by parents, just by setting an example themselves, and they were also part of All India Radio, the launch team of All India Radio back in those days. So both my parents, one was a anchor and the other was a producer for
Wow.
Himachal Pradesh All India Radio. So yeah, so it's in the genes, and I think I knew that I have to get into content from the very beginning. I couldn't see myself fit in anywhere else. Our family is all into storytelling. Everybody's charted out their paths. Some are into content, some are in radio, some are doing filmmaking. In that right environment, growing up, I think it just led to the career which I chose. I think there was interesting times in the first decade of my career when I was
Shel-
it's
yeah,
I
there's
have to be I have yeah I have to be true to my craft, and I also wanted to go to UCLA and do film studies. Yeah, so that was a
Oh,
bug
wow.
which I carried for which I carried for the first 12, 10 years of my career. And yeah, and I had kind of saved all my savings, and I had this big dreams of just going there for 1 or 2 years, doing my film studies and just getting into filmmaking, which very few people know. And it didn't happen. It didn't turn out like that. So I infused myself with all my creative outlets. I continued to write. I continued to, continue with my passion of all creativity along with my career, which sort of went into the leadership roles in content, which was great because all my learnings of the first 12 years, I could see it in action and with a lot of passion. And I think that's how I've seen the early induction into content, and I think I owe it to my parents for that quite a bit.
Yes, that's parents are an important influence. I mean, also, also like storytelling and putting in. I think it just makes you that special person who can even recognize talent quickly. So it must have gone hand in hand. Actually, it's come, uh, you know, full circle for you, isn't it? You can
Yeah,
spot people, you
yeah.
can spot good things, and now you're creating them as well. So, you're doing this, you're doing your lyrics, you're also doing your pause rewind series, which I wanted to talk about as well. So, obviously, that series talks about mindfulness and a lot of deeper spiritual aspects. So, were you always spiritual as a kid, or at what point did you feel like you are inclined spiritually, because you're practicing many things, so do share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the spiritual side I didn't discover until I was 25, but since childhood I had this void I used to feel very often. And I really couldn't like, put my finger on it. What is it really? Because, everything is going fine in your life and still you have this vacuum which you feel, which was basically, I could fill it up with maybe creative pursuits. And then when I started discovering flavors of spirituality, whether it was about reading spiritual books or doing a bit of service in community, I started getting that flavor, and that void started getting filled up. But I think my phase of 99 to 2000 was crazy because I was searching and I was like so full of that void that I started reading lots. I started going for retreats, meditation, mindfulness retreats. Um, and it was intensified. That search had really intensified. 2001, I did this course, Jigyasa, which was basically a rhythmic breathing technique. It's called Sudarshan Kriya. And I had a profound experience in the first session in itself. And I felt that I have found a connection. That void which was there for so many years, it's been filled up. And it was at a very subtle level, what I'm talking about, right? So, I mean, even to put words to it is very difficult right now because what you feel at that stage. And I found that I have possibly found my master after Paramahansa Yogananda, whom I kind of considered as my master all those years. But 2001, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji, I just felt that, this is it. This technique is working for me. And I found a drastic change in myself after that. I became a vegetarian. My lifestyle kind of balanced. I put in discipline, and putting in discipline in life became very easy, and getting a routine. And it's like, once your cup is filled up, then you want to give it to others. It's then the service aspect of spirituality coming in. And that also kind of had an effect on my team building, how I was connecting with people in office, with my team, with my colleagues, with my clients. I could feel that, the relationships getting better. I won't say that my journey has not been rocky. I would say I've got it like 60 or 6 on 10 has been nice in terms of seeing the effects of spirituality rendered back in life. But 4 on 10, I have fallen down and
I think
fallen
it's a
down
journey,
badly.
isn't it? Like we're all seeking
Yeah.
something, then we find the right thing, then also it's a journey as long as like life is there, I guess. um, I don't know if there's something called perfection, but We are works
Yeah,
in progress, as you had also once mentioned to me, right? We're all works in
yeah,
progress.
absolutely. In development, coming soon.
In development. So tell
Yeah.
me, you've taught, you're a certified mindfulness practitioner. You've taught this across 3 countries to about 450 participants, if I'm not wrong. Uh, and how do you think this can help us as works in progress, if I may say so? I think Shelja will be back. Just say yes, you can hear me if you can hear me. And she's coming to the best chunk of today's talk, and we must hear her out because she's going to share insights about how she navigates and balances and uses all these techniques for her success, her balance in the high profile and high stress environments she also functions in. So hi, we lost you for a little
Hi.
bit, but that's Insta sometimes. We are getting used to it.
Sure.
So I was
Sure.
telling them that you're coming to a very important chunk of our talk today, and people are still here, and they will be hearing this even after our live today. Uh, the mindful practices that you are using as a spiritual being, as a corporate person, as a creative yogi, this is a very important chunk, I think, where you can really share your insights, your practices with us.
Yeah. So I think my spiritual practices have been of great help, like I said, both personally and professionally, and what I've been teaching. And it's essentially you have to get your house in order before you go out and fix things outside, right? So my first 12 years of my spiritual practice after 2001 was only getting my house in order, which basically meant that fixing a lot of things within me. It was a transformational journey up till 2012. 2000, and I did a lot of things, it's like a lot of self-effort, self-work, discipline, um, dedication. If you really want to see the change, like I've been talking about in my series, Pause, Rewind, and Reset, it's not about, that you get up in the morning one day and change will happen. You really need to work on it. At a conscious level, you need to bring it to your conscious level that I have to bring in this change. You have to have a plan to support that change, and you need to walk the path and action that plan. Just pretty much like you action your projects, what you've been doing in school, college, and now at work. It's pretty much that. It's like I keep saying, you are the CEO of your life. You got to fix it.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do that. And we spend so much time in office work and this and that project and this presentation and have to say the right thing at the right time. This slide I have to say this text, but we just forget. Having spent those 12 years very closely with self, whether it was about self-reflection or the practices of breathing, yoga, mindfulness at work, with family and with colleagues, and also a bit of community work. So community work kind of makes you transcend beyond the identifications which you've created, right? So when you were rattling a lot of things about me, and I was like, is that really me? Honestly, because spirituality is all about take the labels out continuously. You need to keep removing those labels which you've been putting on. I'm a female, I'm born in India, I'm this, I'm a director of this company, I'm a chachi and a thai and a mami and whatever relations which we carry. These are all labels, right? These are all labels and identifications which we put on ourselves. And then we have concepts on top of it, that I am spiritual or I'm this or I'm dedicated or whatever. I think it's about transcending all those levels and layers and reaching a level which I think creative people beautifully are in. And that's why I connect with creative people, because I think most of the creative people are living a spiritual life. To able to tap into that intuitive space and create something out of it. Whether it's a creative catharsis for you guys, or it's just a aha moment, or it's basically you're putting something as a project, which you think you're putting something as a project, but it has those aha moments. And all those aha moments and the intuitive abilities are coming from that space of spirituality because you are connected to the self at that time. Yeah.
I
So,
think this
yeah,
applies to
I
a
think
lot
it's
of people, no, Shailja? This would apply to people in all spheres, even those who are not literally doing performance arts or creative arts. It would
absolutely
apply to them as well, right? Connecting to the self. And I'm sure a lot of uh, people, if there are corporate people on the live today, even they have creative pursuits or they want to be creative at work. So, share some hacks with us. Share, I think what you meant to say is integrate these practices in your daily life. So, how can we do
correct.
that?
Correct.
How can we do that?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is which has been my approach to it is it's been the breath. So our breath has a lot of secrets, which I kind of discovered also because I did the course. Before that, I had no idea how to breathe. My teacher told me that this is your body. I'm like, is she kidding me? This is me. What is she talking about? This is your body, you know. And then she's like, okay, then you breathe from the belly, right? Then that was again like, 2001, somebody saying breathe from the belly when you don't even realize that you're breathing or breath is that important. So just the fact that you breathe consciously from your belly going out and then your chest and then, it's collapsing and that rhythm you start observing, and at least do it 10, 20 times anytime you are sitting in a car or at work or before your meetings. Just relax breathing in, expanding the belly, and it's called the belly breath, and breathing out and relaxing the entire system, and just connecting with your body and mind and breath. I think that's the first step, I would say, and because till the time your mind is outside and you are not connected to yourself, I think you won't be able to do the mindfulness. So the first thing is connect with your body and mind. Second is, I think from a corporate perspective or just creative perspective also, and I'm also learning this, is to be the good listener. Yeah, we don't listen. Yeah, so I think mindfulness kind of helps you to listen better. And if you are in that space of the intuitive space I'm talking about, restful space, then you start connecting with the other person with a sharper listening. Definitely. And the other thing it'll help is that, you kind of navigate between this zoom in and the helicopter view, right? So in a situation, when you have to zoom into a situation and the ability to zoom out like a helicopter view, look at the same situation from the top down, like when to switch off and switch on, right? So that is also a sort of a mindfulness technique which you can apply or, try.
Do you do that? She's really a boss lady. She's really, really a unique person. As a creative, I'm telling you, I just hope like everyone gets to meet people like this. Okay, could you hear me say all that? I do a little bit
No,
of fan thing when you're not there.
no, I could.
I mean, I wish we would encounter people like you more often when we, as creatives or anybody new at work, enters a big office. We wish we would meet people like you, who have so much awareness. Because the thing you said about labels, understanding that. So from the other side of the table, if I meet you and you understand that, that just liberates me and helps me do so much more beyond my limits. But usually
Correct.
one feels limited by labels, and one is catering to that all the time. So one
Correct.
finds it so hard to express oneself. And I know we were talking about zoom in, zoom out, and I was asking you whether you do that often at work. Do you zoom in, zoom out easily now? Are you able to do those switches? And do you
I'm
breathe?
able to do it at work. I'm able to do it at work socially. I struggle personally, which I'm going to talk about later.
Sure,
My flaws. But yeah,
sure.
at work I've managed. I don't know how. Socially, I have managed to do it. The zooming in, zooming out, switch off, switch on in situations. Yeah,
Yes.
the techniques which I do every morning, and I realize I can see the surge of energy, and I can feel connecting with that reservoir of unlimited, abundant energy, and I know
Yes.
that this is going to carry me throughout the day. And I have to make my choices in how I'm going to channelize this energy into what. So I become much more aware of that. Um, Sometimes, like I said, it's a web of emotions. One does get caught. It's not that it's all, all a great ride, but by and large, yes. Switch off and switch on in work situations, yes. I
It
have been
helps.
caught in the extreme situations, but yeah, maybe 60-70% I managed to save.
Very
It helps.
nice.
It helps
And does the
immensely.
breathing help? Does the
It
breathing technique or
it
something
does.
you do at that moment, is that a hack that can help us?
So
Yes.
if you're breathing very rapidly, there's anxiety. If you're relaxed, you are calm. When you're breathing in, obviously, you're taking a breath in, is energizing your system. When you're breathing out, it's relaxing your system, right?
Yes.
So when you know that you are having a bit of anxious moment, then you elongate the breathing in a little bit more. Like they tell you, breathe in, breathe out. Just elongate the breathing in part, and just let go.
Yeah.
So I
It,
think breath would be the first tool as a hack which you can use. And there are a lot of things with the breath which you can do. There are pranayams, there are techniques. There is something called an Ujjayi breath, which I teach in the courses which I teach.
okay.
There are pranayams. So there's a way of actually getting deeper into it. But I think just if you're a beginner, wherever you are, you 5 minutes, just two deep breathing, belly breath. I think that should make you
That's
realize how you're tapping into that, the energy which I was talking about. You'll start
right.
feeling it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said you do some daily things in the morning. I mean, uh, is it yoga? Is it few things,
So I start
before
my
you go to
day at
office?
so I start my day at 6 in the morning. I go for my walks and I listen to a podcast or some music. It's still not like daylight, and I simply love the morning time. It's been like that. I think I saw my mom doing it when I was a kid. When I was growing up, she used to go for these morning walks. To the extent I used to run behind her and say, "Don't leave me," I feel like really insecure. But I've seen her doing it, and I think it used to energize her. And after that, I come back, I have my lemon water or something in the morning, and then I get into my yoga room where I do my little bit of stretching. It could be Surya Namaskar or I do Padma Sadhana. That's another form of yoga. And then I settle into my Sudarshan Kriya, the rhythmic breathing technique after pranayams and meditation at the end. So I've been doing this for around 2 decades now,
Wow.
this year. So it's like brushing your teeth in the morning, right? I don't think about it because I just got to do it. It's just like it's a
आपकी
programmed.
त्वचा और आपकी स्माइल का राज हमें समझ आ गया. करना पड़ेगा.
Well, this
करना
secret is
पड़ेगा.
out, yeah. Everyone is doing it now. I think back in those days, it was still difficult to talk about meditation करते हो, अच्छा, vegetarian हो, oh, you have to leave the world and do all this. Now it's like it's so in. I mean, in Singapore, London, you talk about yoga, meditation, mindfulness, people are like listening and they are
Yes.
coming. And I used to conduct
Yes.
these sessions, obviously the classes, but I used to do these free sessions in so London has all these libraries all over the place. And I'm telling you, people used to flock like 50, 40, 60 people attending, these workshops. And it's really amazing. I mean, those countries are much more open to a lot to do with mental health.
Yes.
And, so it was very interesting
No, people
teaching
are
there
really
and spending.
seeking the way out. People are seeking a balance everywhere because sort of globalization, corporatization is sort of a universal phenomenon, and that has become a way of life, a predominant way of life, and this is our ancient knowledge, and people are seeking it like never before now. And see, somebody like you who's such a senior in the corporate world, you're doing this and you're going to work and you're saying this is helping you and this is keeping you going. What I had asked you earlier, what keeps you going? So I guess this consistency in your practice is keeps you going, right? It's something you've committed to, and you said it helps you. You've lived in different parts of the world. It helps you, or anyone in the corporate. Nowadays they're traveling a lot, not during COVID, but it probably keeps you sane and healthy when you're
Absolutely.
settling in new places or traveling for
Yeah.
work, which you had
Yeah.
mentioned to me, right? So there'll be a lot of people. I know some friends who'll be watching this. They have to travel a lot. Their families have to adjust a lot with them.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody has to maintain some kind of routine, like you said, a discipline.
Yeah.
Some kind of
Yeah.
discipline, and you're saying it is not that hard. You're saying it's like once you start doing it, you develop the muscle.
And see, it's also the fact that you've got to be settled within yourself
Hmm.
to connect with the outside world. I think what
Yes.
we've been programmed to do by media, or we are to be blamed, is always, this mind is going outward,
Yes.
right? Which is all great. I'm saying if the world is there to play, the world is there for our enjoyment, all that is fine. Kind of make you settle within and then enjoy what's going on around. And I think my creative outlets have managed my emotional channelizing, because even after doing meditation and after doing all this, I was still struggling. Honestly, that sometimes I was struggling in certain parts of my life. And I was like, why is this really happening? Because I've done so much of investment behind myself all these years. And I realized there's a twist in this entire thing, right? So we got to mentally invest in things and emotionally channelize ourselves. We emotionally start investing in things, being creative. That's where we kind of mess up. And I think that energy, if you put in painting or drawing or sketching or writing lyrics or whatever your mojo is, discover the mojo, the spark which you have. And I think so both kind of feed into each other. So emotionally, by doing all the creative outlets, I get emotionally very channelized. All that thing which is not resolved inside at an emotional level finds a resolution in my writing, for example. And the meditation in any way is energizing me, right? So it's
This is
feeding into each
fantastic,
other.
This is
Yeah.
a fantastic insight you're sharing. Uh, it's like invest mentally and emotionally channelize. This is a magic mantra, Shelja.
Correct.
This is like really a great
Correct.
takeaway. People like, I was going to ask you, couple of things that you're right, we are to connect with each other at work, navigate office politics, or let me talk about myself as a creative, or there are many other people. Everybody's creative, I believe, but I feel like there are empaths, people who pick up energies, and you must be dealing with a lot of creative people as well. So,
Correct.
what is that experience? How do we navigate? One is to channelize it and invest mentally. I get that, but how do you? What further do you advise for people to navigate through office politics, because everybody has a different personality?
See, they say if you manage your mind, you manage everything, right? So while we are looking for these solutions which think are outside of us, everything is basically inside. It has to start with you, So all these hacks and all everything is for yourself to work on oneself. And I truly believe when I'm saying that you invest mentally, channelize emotionally, be fit physically, and validate your feelings. It's a must. Validate it yourself and not wait for the others to come and validate. Then you are basically navigating office politics. You're navigating possibly home environment. You're navigating what you want to do outside, in the world beyond just your small world of me, myself, my family, and my office. And possibly you want to do a lot more because you'll have a lot more clarity, lot more energy within you to be of any be of value to people beyond the circle.
Yourself, and that brings me to the next question on leadership, because you have been a trainer, you've led workshops, and we are talking about excelling in life. So what are the qualities of a leader you think are topmost or the most relevant, and what all comes within that gamut? I know it's a vast subject, but whatever you feel like sharing today, I think that'll be valuable to everyone.
That the first day when they come in, they are like this. Yeah, there's no smile on the face. They are those labels they are wearing, right? A lot of baggage they are carrying. So I'm this, I'm that, all these years I've done so much
Yeah.
to build my muscle. Come on, look at me. And then by the fourth day
Yeah.
or fifth day, they're like babies, yeah. They're like kids. It's about you, yourself, how well you are pausing in life. Are you really giving that quality time to yourself? Do you have a plan? Like you have a plan for your office projects? Do you have a plan for your own life? Have you really reflected on that bit? So we're always waiting कि कोई आगे पूछेगा. Somebody's going to come and tell us. Yeah, some parents bolenge, a partner is going to say, or some boss is going to say. To be agile, to be centered, to be aware, and to be connected is so important.
Yes.
The decisions which are being taken right now are the decisions which are basically don't have any blueprint anymore. Behaviors of consumers have changed, right? We all are behaving in very, very different way. We see our lives in the last 12 months. So as a leader, all the decisions which you have to make for yourself, for your team, for your family, or for the industry, how do you take all that decision? Where does all that, mindfulness, centeredness, that mental agility come from? So I think these techniques are a must at that level because the decisions which are made at a leadership level percolate down to everybody, because if you have a clear vision, your team has a clear vision and they know what to action, they really need, they have complete clarity on what's coming their way.
Yes.
So going beyond physical form, identities, concepts, and stripping down to human values, end of the day, really a leader go a long way. Because this is the time, I think the dynamic shift which has happened because of pandemic, that's the first value which we need to get in as leaders. Even more so now, more so than what's happened in the last 20, 30 years, the human values have to be at the surface while connecting with people. But yeah, these
Right.
practices definitely help you to take right decisions, perception gets clear. You start, there's more empathy, more connection, interconnectedness with people around. So it will definitely
Yes.
help.
Yes. So, I mean, somebody's asking me here, it's a good time to take this question. Can an old dog learn a new trick?
Absolutely. Really depends how you connect with who's teaching what. One. Second is the technique. Third is how thirsty you are to learn new tricks. How driven you are to learn new tricks. What is the urge to learn new tricks? You'll definitely learn.
Learn and then apply, right? Like lot of summits and conferences happen. People hear about a lot of things, and then when we come to application, that's when the test comes in. And
Yeah.
I'm feeling like if you view it from a spiritual point of view, the journey becomes very meaty and very hopeful because it's so deep. Then it's not just
Correct.
superficial. And the
Correct.
change. So he's further asking, behavior change, awareness. Can it be inculcated by learning? Probably at an adult stage, right? We're all we think we are not kids anymore. Though I am very happy being a kid.
I mean, see, if you're transcending beyond physical identification, your labels, your designations, your concepts about yourself, and there are certain techniques which make you help you settle down further within yourself, life becomes very clear, and the decision is taken from that dimension, not the dimension you're asking me this question in.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that dimension, once you settle in with all these practices, then the proof will be easier to.
That's very interesting what you just said, because it brings me to the question of women, men. I mean, are women more open to these practices? I'm sure men who are tuned into these dimensions also benefit immensely. But if you have
Yeah.
any specific advice for either gender.
Women, like you touched upon, so I'll talk specifically for women. We play multiple roles, right? So, and
Yeah.
at the same time, when we say that we should be successful in each of those roles, it's about not judging those roles from other people's point of view. It's critical. You don't do that. It's how much you gave in, what kind of effort which you made. Are you happy with it? Did you give your 100%? Your 100% could be someone's 50%, which is fine. right? But you know in your heart that you gave your 100%, whether as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, as a boss, or it could be any other role which you're playing. But yes, I think in all this, the critical factor is the efforts which you're making. Besides that, to have a supporting family is a must, right? Having conducive work environment, a personal drive, which is ignited all the time, because a kid, you kind of, or you have some other, requirements in your personal life, you might drop off from your career. So how driven you are? What's your personal drive? Where's your mojo getting ignited from? Yeah, and are you continuously upskilling yourself? It is a changing world. It is dynamic. Are you, learning new techniques, new tools, whether it's about mind management, whether it's about your skill, your core skill, right? Are you upskilling yourself? You need to ask yourself, right? And having a strong tribe, being part of a strong tribe, which I mean is socially, or it's about work-wise. Do you have people who are supporting you?
Yeah,
You know,
very
for,
important.
for me, in my 16, 17 years of work journey, I think I've had a lot of women come and support me. And it's happened so many times that I'm like, wow, this is amazing Nari Shakti, like they say. It's an unsaid power. We are supporting each other. It's just that even if you're not talking about it or not doing enough in action, there is a tribe out there who's
Yes,
connected, who's feeling, that interconnectedness I was talking about. Yes,
yes,
sure, we are interconnected. So very important is the conscious living which connects us, right, at an
yes,
intuitive level.
yes.
And the more conscious we are, more connected we'll be to our clients, right? So I think that's why conscious living is very important for a woman, because she's playing these multiple roles. And
Yes.
these tools will help her to, live more consciously. Uh, and even more, I think it is of such great support, because when I had my kid at a late age, everybody was like, wow, I was like, yeah, I mean, thank God I was on this spiritual path, which actually helped me navigate this period so beautifully, because it was such a spiritual experience for me.
Yes.
The entire period of my pregnancy, coming out of it, there was postpartum period, but I think I managed it with my practices again. My practices, my mindfulness practices have come to my aid in every low phase of my life or every tricky phase of my life. So that's one tool
And
I've
where
held
do
on
we
to.
see all of these more on your channel, Pause Rewind? Like, how do we learn more from you about the practices and tools? Because I'm sure there's a lot more
Yeah.
than just this conversation that we would want to,
Yeah, so I've started a YouTube channel where I'm putting like a weekly series now. You could just do
yes,
that. Shelja Saraswati, it's pretty simple. You could just go there. You will see 3 to 4 episodes on new topics. The last topic was pause, rewind, reset. The next topic is I'm okay syndrome, which
okay.
I'm launching next week.
Ah,
So yeah,
okay.
so these are just personal insights from life, and how I sort of like this emotional channelizing bit I was talking about.
Yes.
I think something like that I'll expand on into 3, 4 episodes and talk from examples. So
Wow,
yeah.
that'll be fantastic. Guys, tune into Shelja Saraswati's YouTube channel, and it's called Shelja Saraswati. And your series is not called Pause Rewind. That was one of your
One
series.
series. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there's variety of aspects in various series you're doing on your YouTube channel, and stay
Sure.
tuned into that, guys, because these things have to be practiced regularly, and as you go along, it really helps to have someone mentoring or guiding or suggesting, at least through online. So someone's asking here, and since we at Jamats are also doing online theater training. When you spoke about breathing, I was thinking about theater, how that is akin to spiritual practices, and we're doing writing, and you're a writer yourself. So, how effective is this online training? Do you think uh, we can make breakthroughs online? I mean, we've certainly done that through this pandemic. But what do you foresee, or do you think we can learn your techniques or the ones we do at Jamats through online effectively?
Absolutely. I think online has become a second nature now. Online as a medium, we are well immersed in for last 12 months. If your techniques are you the techniques which you're talking about is for children specifically?
For
It's for
children,
children.
yes. Yes. That was one of my questions. How important do you think um, creative arts is for children, and
Okay.
if that is connected to mindfulness as well? I was
Sure.
asking about that, and of course, your practices for adults as well. So online
Sure.
was a general question, but
Sure.
now that you did mention it, as a child you were so aware creatively, and then you tuned in spiritually. How important do you think all this kind of learning that both of us are talking about would be online today?
I think it's very important, very, very critical. If I just talk about kids, for example, uh, if they need to, we need to give them the right stimulus in their formative years. And there's a lot of stimulus out there in the environment which is not conducive. Let's say there are a lot of things which are going on during this pandemic period because people don't know how to manage their own mind, or they have not learned techniques, or they're struggling with it. I'm not like,
Yes.
looking down upon anybody or anyone. We've all gone through certain situations the whole of last 1 year. So how do we
Yes.
give the right stimulus to children? And that in those formative years, and I think if it through an online medium we could do that, it could really become the seed of a sapling or a tree tomorrow, right? So because if my parents hadn't done that, they didn't take us to this radio station, or made us actually do all that in terms of child artists, mic, writing, anchoring, or whatever.
Yes.
That was an immersion which has gone a long way for all of
Yes.
us.
Same here.
And at that time, honestly, I was like, why are they doing this? I'd rather go and play basketball because I was also the basketball games captain for the school. And I was so into sports, and I'm like, I can't do this. I used to tell my sister, I can't do this. I didn't understand the relevance of it then. I was writing, I was doing creative catharsis. I was very shy as a person. Honestly, I found my voice after I was 26 or 27 probably. I found my voice after that. Until then, you can imagine a quiet child from station, Himachal, Shimla. I used to pen down everything. Pen was my best friend. And I was reflecting, I was doing catharsis, I was writing down, pouring my heart out to the extent that it started becoming very natural for me.
Yes.
It was like it was effort. People say, okay, you write down and write a story, sit down and write a prose, and sit down and write a poetry. I'm like, well, that's my life. you know so I was very inspired by this, and I named my company, which I launched in London, Poetry Echoes.
Okay.
But coming back to your question, I'm giving all this background because see, those were the formative years for me,
Yes, it's
right?
very
And there's a
inspiring,
lot of
Shelter. It's very
yeah.
inspiring.
So even one seed which is basically aligned to the child's potential, right? You might expose him to 10 things or 8 things, but one of them which gets aligned to his abilities or co-potential can actually make his life. So
Yes.
yes, so as parents, as caregivers, as people in art, and yourself at JAM, definitely I think these classes are very, very critical. Or for that matter, the classes which we have for children for mindfulness, meditation, or for
Yes.
adults.
Yes.
One is the stress releasing, the other is the emotional channelizing. I think they go hand in hand. These are the core two pillars. If you can combine this in any of your classes, I think it's a deadly weapon you're giving to any individual.
Or
Sure.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch this even after today. So please drop in your comments and more questions. It'll propel our journeys also. And we look forward to any further suggestions, any queries, any connects with Shelja's channel. Please go ahead and explore. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you.
Shelja.